In the late 18th century, the landscape of England changed forever. The dark Satanic Mills, a phrase popularized by the poet William Blake, wasn't really a metaphor. They were massive soot stained fortresses of industry that ran on two things: steam and the labor of children. Welcome back to the History of Fiber Arts. My name is Cassandra, and today we are talking about the Industrial Revolution's textile boom and the smallest workers who kept the gears turning, known as the scavengers. Now, the Industrial Revolution was fueled by a brutal global pipeline. The raw cotton that fed the British looms was almost entirely produced by enslaved people in the American South, and by the mid 1800s, nearly 80% of the cotton used in British mills was grown using forced laborers. So the economic miracle of the textile boom was directly tethered to the violence of the plantation system. But once that cotton reached the English docks, a different kind of exploitation took over. By the 1830s, cotton was king, right? So to keep profits high, mill owners sought out the cheapest labor that they could possibly find, and they found that in pauper apprentices, which were orphans and children from impoverished families, some as young as 6 years old, working 14 to 16 hours a day. And these children were often signed over to the mills in exchange for room and board, which usually consisted of some very thin, soupy porridge and a shared bed in a crowded dormitory. But what did they actually do? Well, being a scavenger was one of the most dangerous jobs in the mill. Piecers usually stood by the machines and tied broken threads together, but the scavengers were tasked with cleaning these machines. They had to crawl under these massive, moving, spinning mules to collect loose cotton waste known as flyings. And here's the terrifying part: the machines didn't stop while they were cleaning. To maximize production, the heavy timber and iron carriages of the spinning mules would slide back and forth on tracks, and the scavengers had to time their movements perfectly, darting underneath the machinery while it was in motion. And if they were too slow, or if a limb got caught, the results were catastrophic. Crushed fingers, broken bones, and even scalpings were common occurrences in these mills. But the damage wasn't always sudden like broken bones. The constant dust and fibers in the air led to diseases like the brown lung disease. And working 14 to 16 hours a day in a crouched position also led to physical deformities like knock knees and curved spines. Those became the physical hallmarks of a childhood spent under these looms. And it wasn't until the factory acts of the mid 19th century that these practices began to face real regulation, slowly raising the minimum wage and shortening the workday. These satanic mills built the modern world, but they were built on the backs of children who never got to see the finished product of their labor. So the next time you hold a piece of machine spun fabric, remember the scavengers who risked everything just to keep the floor clean and profits high, because it's really a sad story.